Tēnei te mihi mai o hā ki a koutou katoa I kua tau mai nei ki tēnei wāhanga te pāhotanga mataora ko Auaha Live. Ngā tikanga wairua tēnei. Tuia I runga, tuia I raro, tuia I roto, tuia I wao, tuia I te here tangata, ka rongo te pō, ka rongo te ao, haumi e, hui e, tae ki e. Koutou kua whiturangitia, haere koutou, haere hari atu rā. Hoki noa ki a tātou te hunga ora, tēnā noa tātou katoa. Ko Sandra Julian ahau, ko Ngāti Mutunga, Ngāti Tama, Pautama, Metia Te Awa, Oku Iwi no Taranaki. A very warm welcome to you all and thank you for joining us here today for our very first episode of Auaha Live. I'm Sandra Julian, founder of Auaha Business Events Agency based in Wellington. Over the coming weeks, I'm going to be interviewing the many talented people that dedicate themselves to the business events industry here in Aotearoa. And to start with, I wanted to give you some context of the size of the business events industry here in Aotearoa. So these are figures from the MB Business Events Activity Report. There were a total of 46,900 events held for the year ended June 2019. A total of 3.4 million delegates attended those events. And MB tells us that the average spend per night is $480 per delegate. So, and that's when they attend events outside of their region. So if you take 3.4 million delegates and we say they were away from home for one night, that equals a total spend of $1.6 billion that the business events industry contributes to the New Zealand economy. So no small figure. The business events industry, when we went into lockdown, it hit us really hard. I mean, it hit all the businesses in New Zealand really hard, but it's going to take us many, many months to rebuild and recover post-COVID, because unlike a hairdresser or a cafe, we can't just open the doors and start generating money again. It's a long runway into delivering an event. So the inspiration for this show was born out of my many conversations in lockdown with peers and colleagues in the business events industry, just talking about trying to get some profile for the business events industry and what it means for us, because we all knew that even when we came out of COVID, it was still going to be a long road to recovery. So I'm super excited to introduce you to our first guest today, who is Arna Wahl Davies, the co-founder and client and communication manager at Composition. Arna, welcome.
Kia ora, Sandra. Thank you so much for having me. Feeling slightly nervous being your first one, but let's see how this goes.
Excellent. Well, why don't you start by introducing yourself and telling everyone just a little bit about what you do?
Sure. So we are a conference organising, a PCO based in Christchurch, but we work up and down the country. Our business is Composition, and I'm part owner with my business partner, Nerida Ramsey. We've been in business about 10 years. We formed just prior to the Canterbury earthquakes. And we specialise mostly in conferences that are of the larger size, from 250 delegates upwards. All those figures that you started talking about, Sandra, at the beginning is very much where we sit. We really enjoy the journey that we have with our clients. We love it. And we really love the industry as a whole. We feel pretty lucky, really, to be doing what we do. It's a great industry.
Yeah. I mean, I think everyone who is in the industry, we are all in it for the long haul. Like when you look at all the PCOs that are in our approved PCO group, we have all been in the industry for years and years and years. it's like once you are hooked into the conference industry, you are here for life.
That is that, but the nice thing is everyone's come to the industry from quite different angles. They've come with a completely different set of skill sets and what they were doing previously, and I kind of like that. I think that there's not one set path to becoming a conference organizer or somebody who manages business events. And we should that business events does cover a gamut of conferences and conventions and workshops.
Yeah. So you've recently been appointed to the chair of our SINS approved PCO group. So Conventions in New Zealand is our association body. Like for those who are watching and listening and don't know, Conventions and Incentives is our association body, shortened called SINS. SINS, we all have our own SINS. It's quite interesting when you talk to someone outside of the industry and you say SINS, they go, "Oh, what naughty things have you been doing?" And you're like,
it's always good to explain. It's Conventions and Incentives New Zealand, the association body of the conference industry.
And so a few years ago, a few of us PCOs got together at the time looking to increase the professionalism of conference organizers and getting an even playing field of what are our service specs that we're all going to abide by, what are our code of ethics. So we are now have this body of approved PCOs who have had to jump through some hoops or tick some boxes in order to get to a standard. Yeah, it's accreditation. And so I think it's been like 10 years since the group has been established.
I think that is correct. We've got currently 19 companies within the group.
Nice.
Auaha is one of them. And I think it's so important to have an accreditation system. You don't hire any other industry without them having the right qualifications. And why would you allow someone to manage your business event, your conference, without them having the correct skill set and best practices and knowing that they can do everything and being up to date with the information as well? I think it's just such an important element to have, really.
Yeah, and like a business event isn't like a small budget either. So, and we're managing multifaceted events. We're not just the finance people or the marketing people or the logistics people. We are doing everything from strategy to logistics to finances to marketing, to people management. So it's quite
and right down to the basics, but so that's sort of on the beginning stages of with any client, trying to have an understanding of what do they want to see out of this event.
Yeah.
What are their goals? What do they want to have happen? What do they want people to come away with? Or how do they see the whole picture happening? So it's really stripping it all back and then starting again and then adding all the different layers in. And like you said at the very beginning, our runway is quite long. We don't usually work with clients anything under a year. We usually have at least a year lead-in for anything.
So it's going to take us that long to get up and running again.
Oh, for sure. It's certainly. And when you mentioned that our industry was really hit hard at lockdown, I actually think it was hit before that. When we moved to 100 delegates, I think that's when the PCOs really started to be affected, because no PCO really operates under that 100 delegate mark. So it's been a very disruptive year.
Yeah. And
as it has been for many others.
Yeah. And I think like the tourism industry as a whole has probably got some recovery to do, but business events industry, I didn't think we had a big enough voice, or I just wished our voice had been stronger or bigger, and I think we're just we're a hidden industry.
I think for a number of reasons we're hidden. I think we're hidden because we are the background people. The best that happens, the best for our events is when nobody really notices us doing anything. We're sort of almost invisible, which is the best way to be. I kind of like that.
Yeah.
And I also think that we're probably, of the tourism events sector, we're pretty unglamorous compared to or rugby games or all these other amazing events. And that's not to say that business events is any less. It's just we're not as seen as being quite as glamorous.
Yeah, and we kind of beaver away and do our own work and bring these amazing business events and amazing experience for delegates that attend their business events. We bring them to life, but yeah, in a very behind the scenes kind of way. Yeah.
It's so important as well. So many associations and organizations and businesses, when they come out from a conference or a business event, they have the most amazing experiences and the most collaborative networking opportunities. I think it's so worthwhile. That's one thing the lockdown and COVID has taught us, that being together and being face to face, Zoom is great, this facility is great, but it's really, really important to have that face to face connection.
Yeah. And I can't tell you, like, I thought I'd be okay in lockdown because I'm an introvert kind of person. So I really like my own space. So I'm like, lockdown, yay, just be able to figure away at some stuff, But a few weeks into it, I'm like, I just want to go out and have coffee with someone and meet. And so I think it's that whole person to person, the energy that you get from other people. There is just nothing like it
And we had never ever realised any of that before.
No.
Just
never
went 4 weeks without seeing people, because unless you're on some amazing beach somewhere where no one could disturb you. But even then, you're normally around other people. So
So it was a whole lot of like personal learnings, I think, about things that you didn't know about yourself that you soon learned about yourself anyway.
Oh, yeah. But
so Anna, I want to know about your journey into this industry. I mean, when I ask, when I talk to others that have been PCOs that have been in the industry, I always find their journey fascinating. So do you want to share a bit about your journey and how you got to be here?
So my journey. So I was brought up in a family that were very much into hospitality. We had 2 restaurants as I was growing up as a child. So I was always the child in the back of a restaurant folding the napkins. As in the back of the kitchen. It was always on weekends. Family always worked weekends. So hospitality was just sort of a natural fit in what I sort of always knew. So leaving school, I went off to train as a chef and went through that way into restaurants and kitchens and stayed there for a number of years. Then crossed across into hotels and ended up in the conference department in our hotel. And I was actually thinking about this the other day, and I remember somebody explaining to me what the different style setups were. And I was like, I could not get my head around it. Theatre style versus cabaret style. It's just all those learnings that you do in the beginning. So spent a number of years within hotels and venues and really enjoyed that. And it was great being from the venue side of things, having PCOs and event managers and learning what they needed. And then I went to work with a large PCO for a number of years and spent 7 years with them. And then I met my business partner, Nerida, and we just felt that it was the right time for us to do something on our own. So it's been the best decision for us. Although the learning curve has been like that. Some days I think, not the wisest move, but it's really good.
So what was your thinking behind coming out of that venue environment and then going over to do the complete opposite in that PCO environment? Did you know was that a conscious move, or was that just let's try something different?
yes, it was a conscious move, and because you can only go around different venues so long, and I think I was mostly surprised at how other venues hadn't operated how we thought we would. So, you know, when you go out for a quote and you kind of expect people coming back within 48 hours, and they didn't. I was like, well, where's your systems? Don't you have good systems in place? And then they'd send you a quote and they'd never phone you back. And so those things I found unusual being on the PCO side. I very quickly learned that I thought we had a really great relationship with our clients. When a client walked into a venue, I thought we worked really, really well with them. But being a PCO, they have a much longer run. So we're with our clients for years and years and years. So it's so strong by the time we arrive on site. And that was probably the biggest surprise and the biggest part that I enjoyed the most, because you actually you really create a collaborative relationship with your clients, which is so important, because we are anything that we are representing their association, their body, their company, and often making decisions for them. So it's really important that they have a level of trust in us.
Yeah, yeah. And what is the event that sticks most in your mind at the moment that you've done, you know, over the past few years? Has there been one that like turned to custard and you had to have plan B and plan C and plan D? Or
we've had lots of stories like that. And I think that's kind of the cool thing. In the middle of it, you think, how are we going to manage our way out of this? How is this going to work? But then you kind of go back to the drawing board and figure out your plans. And quite often I find that your second or your third plan, your B or your C or your D, actually it was better than the A, but you just didn't realize it at the time. So sometimes it's a little bit of a blessing. But we've had all sorts of humorous things. I remember being in Wellington at the Michael Fowler Centre, and people probably heard me say this before. I don't often sing in the back of the room for the whole plenary session, but I had popped back in just to see where they were at. And I was standing there, and just as the keynote speaker was really giving this heartfelt, not speech, but really delving into his own personality, how he was a recovering alcoholic. And it was quite personal to the speaker, and nobody was aware of it. And the MC was very, very, it was really respectful and mindful of this whole process. But I was sitting at the back of the room thinking, between the MC and the keynote speaker was a bottle of wine that was about to be handed to him as a speaker gift in a box. So it was just one of those moments. And our client was sitting in the front row. And those who know the Michael Fowler Centre, you can't kind of easily quite get to the front without everyone sort of seeing. And so we went into how can we make this, you know, what can we put in this wine box to not be a bottle of wine, and how can we get it on stage? So it was a coordination of grabbing a few things, ripping out wine out of these wine boxes, putting it in, talking to the audiovisual tech and getting a note on the screen that only the MC can see, and then getting to slip it in and putting another note to say, do not hand the other box. And so it was all those sorts of things that were, but that's part of the fun and the challenge. We had a dinner last year that somehow a water jug, the whole bottom of the water jug came apart. So this whole beautiful gala dinner setting was set with 10 people and was covered in water, and they were dripping wet. It was going along the tablecloth and down and dripping into beautiful ladies' dresses.
Oh my God.
It was okay, right. Okay. So that's when you work with the venue, and we had a whole table set up, and we did excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, if you mind getting up for one moment. Walked it in, plucked the new one out, they weren't even, they all held their glass for 2 minutes and then it went in. So those sorts of fun things. Client had no idea. Client was at the front of the room, had no idea that this had happened to a table, which is great.
Yeah.
Things that you kind of smooth it over.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, The stories that we could all tell would be we'd probably fill a book like yay deep.
Exactly. But that's what you love. I love those the times that you can kind of plan for everything, and then it's the weird things that you just can't get your head around. Which is those are the times I like.
Or when
I don't particularly like them at the time, but usually
yeah. At the time you're like, really? How does that happen?
How did this work? But
Oh,
I think it's for us, once we get on site, that's almost the part that's the easy parts then kind of for us, that's that whole 95% of the job's actually done prior.
And usually it's the human element of that on-site event that you just can't plan for, you can't predict, you just have to manage it. You can plan all your logistics and have the run sheet like so pretty and so detailed that everyone knows what they're doing. And then one person, that human element, will do one thing that creates a domino of other things. And that's what you're managing.
And how you deal with it, and how different suppliers deal with it, and and ensuring that one person, because whatever that one person is wanting, it's important for them.
I mean, we had like an awards dinner, and everyone had their seat. It was pre-seated. Everyone had a seat, a table allocation. They got it beforehand. They got it when they checked in on arrival at the awards. And then they wanted 12 to a table. They just wanted to put 2 more extra people on their table. And there was no way that they weren't going to make that happen. They were either going to have that happen or they were going to leave. And I'm like, okay.
Everyone logistically set 12 nicely. And then you're pushing around 10, and then you're trying to make 8 on another because you've taken away 2, and then there is.
And I'm like, it won't be comfy. Like 12 of you on a table, you're going to be sitting there like this all night. That's okay. We're happy with that. I'm like, okay. Like kitchen, chefs, waiters, we've got 12 here now, but it's.
And then they've got a team of 5 at taking out the main meals, but they can't. They then have to make it a team of 6 because they've got an extra 2 plates, and it's all those things that make it extremely.
And it's like, I always say, like, the event world would just be this perfect run of a musical logistical affair if there weren't no humans. But we wouldn't have an event if there weren't no humans,
It's the human element certainly does make things a little bit tricky.
Makes it.
Also, I mean, that's the other thing with it. Business events, all our clients are all different. Each have their own idiosyncrasies. Each have things that are really important to them, and others that don't have things that are important to them. Some clients embrace changes and trends quite easily, and others don't. And that's also quite tricky as well, because then you've got the human element that the delegate might come along and say, well, why are you still doing it this way? I've been to XYZ conference and they don't do that. And you're like, because they've ruled it out for whatever reason.
So also, now that you've taken up the chair of our PCO group, that means that there's a relationship with the Australian PCOA group, and as the chair of our New Zealand group, you'll also sit on that group. Can you maybe talk to us a bit about how that relationship works and what advantages there are in that relationship?
For sure. So, as you mentioned, I am now a counsellor for PCOA, and we've had 2 meetings with them, and it's been really, really interesting to see how they work and interact. They're absolutely amazing. I mean, we belonged as a company to them already prior to this, but it was really nice to be on the inside and actually see how they work. Barry, who's their president, leads an amazing group of counsellors. But it was great to see the differences and the commonalities between Australia and New Zealand. and the way that they do business versus the way that we do business. I think it's invaluable for our group. And PCOA also belongs to BECA, which is the Business Events Council of Australia. And SINS, when we go back to SINS, they signed a joint agreement as well. So having an understanding of when they're speaking to government, when they're speaking to other industries, they've got a bigger voice being across the Trans-Tasman. I think it's great. I thank them, particularly, if nothing else, this time has taught us about just being a little bit more open with each other and sharing more knowledge and resources. I think is valuable.
Yeah. And what do you think the future for our PCO group here in New Zealand? What does that look like given our relationship with Australia?
I think it will continue to get stronger, and I think we'll see if there's more ways that we can collaborate together. And I hope also that our PCO group does get larger as well. We can look to see what other companies may be sitting on the sidelines and wanting to see if they can get accredited, but really just maybe needing their hand held a little bit. Because I think the more people that we can have being of a higher accreditation, I think is stronger for us as a whole industry. I think it's
for sure. Yeah. Like I don't think about my fellow colleagues, the other approved PCOs, like I don't think of them as my competition.
No.
You know, it's the EA or the PA that's been tasked with organising the business event. And it's how we as industry experts can help people in those positions raise the game and raise the level of how business events are delivered. That would be great.
And I also just think our group is it's so nice to have, it sounds a bit cheesy, but just have friends within the industry so that we can share issues and challenges and things that could be done better. And that's one thing I have even noticed just in the smaller amount of time that I've been chair, is there's often little things that are popping up, but they're getting dealt with where previously I wasn't even aware that they were sort of happening. So it's a great group, and I just feel so proud to be leading this 19 amazing companies.
Yeah.
You just need a big banner down Queen Street, 2468.
Yeah, come use approved PCOs. Yeah. So
it's I can guarantee it. Somebody's going to say that to me.
But it's like anything that we can do to raise the profile of an approved PCO and the value that we can bring to an organisation and how a business event can be hugely profitable and successful and have a huge impact because of not only the logistical parts that we bring to the table, but the strategic brain that we bring to the table, because we're thinking about bigger things than just the logistics, you know?
Well, you probably have the exact same situation as us, that particularly for a new client that hasn't worked with a PCO before, our very first thing that we do is look at the budget. And the budget is the backbone of any event. And clients always go through a realization of how important all the tiny, tiny elements within a budget are to build this conference. And without having the skill set, financially, an event can go really bad really quickly. And if you didn't have the knowledge of those tiny little things and the big things as well, and the skill set of looking around venue contracts and audio visual costs and contracts and how we get speakers in and out, you can actually make it quite tricky for yourself. You know, you can make a company go bad.
Yeah, really quickly, because
I'm not wanting to make
bring anybody, but Yeah. So what have...
quite profitable, but on the flip side.
Yeah. So it's anything that we can do, I think, to raise the profile of what a professional conference organizer will do for your organization. Not just, we're not just logistical implementers. We are actually strategic brains sitting at your table, looking at how we can improve the strategy, the experience and the delivery to return, not only return dollars, but to have a bigger impact on your membership, So
absolutely, for all those stakeholders involved.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important for your client to have the most wonderful experience themselves when they're running it themselves.
Yeah.
They're racing around, being crazy, and not engaging with their membership. They are not going around and smooching. I was going to say handshaking, but not so much. Doing the doing all those things because they're actually fighting fires, and we take all that away from them and actually do it for them. So they're at the front.
Yeah. And I believe that should be the place of our client, is the face of their event, and they should be the host and not worry about anything that's happening and plan Bs and all that other incidentals that happen that just have to be managed behind the scenes. They shouldn't have to worry about that. They should just be taking care of hosting everyone at their event and being visible and being seen and really,
And I think that's our role as well, to make sure that all those things that could go wrong or are going wrong are kept separate to them until they need to know if there's a real, keynote speaker somewhere. But that's our responsibility, so that they are doing that key role of hosting.
For sure.
Just go smoother as well. It's like going to a dinner party, isn't it? You don't want to go into a dinner party and nobody says hello to you, and you just when you're suddenly in the midst of a party. You want someone to greet you at the door and say, "Hi, how are you? Come on in. How have you been?" Da, da, da. And it's the same with the conference.
Yeah, I totally agree.
You want staff to be out there working the floor, really making people feel warm and welcome. And then they see a value in their association, and they see a value in the organisation. Come back again. And then people are more comfortable and they're more open and they'll have more conversations. It's just
that whole retention is increased too. So your membership retention is increased when you make your members feel seen and welcome. So
and then when they're seen and welcome, there's more of a connection, there's more of an engagement, and then
there's more of a belonging.
Exactly. Then the membership is closer to the association. It's all hand holding.
Fantastic. All right. What have you got to look forward to in the coming months?
What have we got to look forward to? Well, I'm really looking forward to doing a conference. It's not for a few months away yet, but yay. I am still excited to be doing one. So that's probably the thing professionally I'm most excited about.
Nice.
I think that's probably the biggest thing. We're in Dunedin later in the year, so that looking forward to.
Nice.
Excellent.
So when's your first event for this year? When's your first in-person event booked in for?
It's not till later, like November.
So
for us with COVID, we had our busiest year planned. But we have had everything for this year move out of this year and move into next year. So it does make it quite tricky in terms of planning and making sure everything's fitting in nicely for next year. And also hard for clients where they've started down a track and they think they're doing this, and now we've moved and changed and whatnot. But our clients have been amazing. They have been so supportive and so willing to relook at how things are done, so that they can make the best of next year.
And make the best decision for what they do next.
Absolutely. And I'm really aware that there will be changes. both with the economy and how that affects our conferences and how things are going to be done with our health and safety toolkit. And we're just trying to, make sure that we keep up to date with those sorts of things. So we're ahead of the game with it.
Yeah, perfect. All right. And then one last question that we're going to ask all guests before we close out the show. And that is, what is one aha moment that you've had in the last 12 months?
What has been my aha? Well, I think my aha moment's going to be, it's going to sound a bit depressing, but I don't mean it to sound depressing at all. I think my aha moment was as we were going into lockdown, about a week after lockdown, I realized the skills that we had obtained from the Canterbury earthquake. So the things that we had learned and the lessons around resilience we had learned as a business could carry us forward easily around this time. Not saying it was really wish I hadn't learnt those lessons 9 years ago, but I think it was really important. So for me, it was the aha of this isn't going to be easy, but we're going to get through it. So how the year was being planned is going to be different, but it doesn't mean it's going to be bad different. It's just going to be different. So realizing it was going to be okay and making sure our industry as a whole is okay. I think.
Yeah.
That's one thing I want to come through this.
Yeah. I think we as event managers, as conference organizers, we're super resilient.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think we are super resilient as a group. But as with all businesses, it's financially hard for people. So that for me was the aha, like, oh, yeah, this feels awful, but it feels familiar and it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
We can get through this. It's okay. And everyone's happy. And so,
Yeah, nice. Awesome. Okay, thanks so much, Arna, for joining me here today and being my first guest on our very first show.
I'll look and see everyone who's done these amazing jobs after me, and I'll be like, oh.
No.
I look forward to seeing who else you have on. It'll be exciting.
Yeah. So, it's been an absolute pleasure just like chatting with you and having the conversation. To some extent, I don't think we do this often enough, even though we feel as though we're connected with one another. So
and I'm always open to chatting with anyone. So absolutely.
Nice.
I really appreciate you doing it, and thank you so much for inviting me. It's just been wonderful.
You are welcome. All right. Thanks to everyone who joined us today. I do hope that you enjoyed the show and that you will tune in for our next episode on the 10th of July, when we will bring more real kōrero with real people from behind the scenes of the business events industry. Kia pai o koutou rā whakatā, mā te wā.